When you go out into the dating world, carrying the weight of past relationship trauma, you might not be able to see the signs that you are giving too much time to a person who's going to end up avoiding and discarding you. Hello friends, my name is Maria, and I have a soft spot for people who anxiously chase love. For almost my entire life, I existed in the half-love universe, where chasing people who were emotionally unavailable to me became normalized. And I wanted this channel to give advice to people who get stuck on other people who are not truly there for them, people who constantly end up disappointing them. I try to help you see things from a different perspective. And today I have a beautiful woman who I will call Aisha, who is involved with a man for a few weeks now who seems nice. He's showing interest, but there is a bit of inconsistency that's giving her that creeping feeling of misalignment. She's had a lot of relationship trauma with emotionally unavailable love bombers in the past, and she doesn't want to end up in an old pattern of chasing the wrong person. Chasing the wrong person all starts with sticking around far too long in the first place. We end up getting attached to people who aren't truly there for us. But make no mistake, these kinds of people who are not meant for us have a pattern of communication. And there are 4 things, at least, you can ask yourself about your interactions that could save you years of heartbreak. So before you get in too deep, grab that bottle of nail polish and let's talk. If you found my channel, you've probably had a run-in with someone who has an avoidant attachment. Now, an avoidant attacher is someone who avoids real issues and intimacy in relationships. And if you watch my channel, you know that you could be involved with an avoidant who lives 10 minutes down the road, and yet it feels like they are worlds apart. So whether you are involved with someone and they live locally or they're long distance, Aisha's question about human behavior in dating still applies to you. Aisha says, "Hi Maria, I've done a lot of healing around my anxious attachment this past year, and I feel like I'm in much more of a secure place now. But I'm realizing I don't actually have many real-life examples of what secure dating looks like in the very early stages. I've recently started talking to someone on Match.com named Bradley, and it's been a few weeks now. He seems secure so far. It is a brand new connection, LOL. No love bombing, respectful communication, and he does ask thoughtful questions. But the pacing is much slower than what I've been used to, sometimes a few days in between messages. When he does respond to me, he is engaged and consistent, but it's not frequent. And he does ask questions about me, but his response time is usually anywhere from 3 to 6 days in between messages. I'm not looking for daily texting, but I've noticed that the level of infrequency doesn't feel good to me. But before he came along, I was used to men who were avoidant, chaotic, or just simply not healthy for me at all. They would reach out quickly towards me. Ideally, I'd be comfortable with light but consistent contact, maybe a few times a week, especially when getting to know someone. Now, I'm not looking to diagnose or label Bradley, and I just want to understand more about how secure pacing can show up early on and how to differentiate between healthy slowness and lack of interest. I'd love to hear what early communication looked like for when you met your partner, especially around the texting and the pacing. Thank you so much. I really value your perspective, Aisha." Well, thank you, Aisha. I am thrilled to have you as a new member of the channel, and you know I'm a patterns person. And when it came to dating, when I look back, With people where it turns out they weren't super great for me, there are a few main things in their communication styles that are worth considering, and I'll also give you examples from my own history. So here's the first question you want to ask yourself when you are communicating with someone new. Is the communication always on their terms? You want to talk right now, but you send him a message and you say sometimes you end up waiting 3 to 6 days before he answers. But I think his waiting to get back to you is technically an immediate answer. For example, it's basically like you send him a message and he does message you back right away. And it says, "Thank you for your message. We will get back to you in 3 to 6 days. Bing! Now, if you are dating someone locally and they took 6 days to get back to you, that's pretty unacceptable. And it's sort of like they can't be bothered. I know in this case, the difference is it is long distance, which I'm not saying makes it okay, but I am saying that the distance itself sort of naturally takes the urgency out of everything, because who knows when he's actually going to see you? It might be a while. But even if that's the case, if he is seriously considering you and he is seriously looking for a relationship, I feel like you would still feel some more urgency coming from his side of things. And that's the second thing to consider. Is there some semblance of urgency? And I know that urgent sounds like an anxious word, and he might not be an anxious guy. But it is my opinion and my experience that says even if you are only texting once or twice a day, there's still a pull coming from his side, wanting to be with you, especially after it's been established that both parties are interested. The interested starts to become very consistent. Like maybe, yeah, it is a little inconsistent at first because people are testing the waters, but once they get the green light that there is a mutual interest, talking becomes pretty regular. And you and I are both women. You and I both know if we're not interested in a guy and he messages us, we do have this sort of like ingrained guilt where we don't want to be mean. So we might still feel compelled that we have to answer them back. But yeah, it might take like up to 6 days because we're not really interested. If we're really interested in a guy, we are texting back that day. And in the beginning stages of dating in my past, there was a little bit of like, will they, won't they in the very beginning, but at least with the texting, once a guy texts you, like for example, I knew that my partner was interested in me the day that he sent me a message for no reason. He was just thinking about me, and I was very responsive. I texted him back, smiling, happy to hear from him, and once he got that green light, he started to text me a little more, and soon he was sending me at least 1 text a day, or I was texting him because I started to become more confident that like, yeah, this guy likes me. I'm gonna put some energy in, and I like him too. And it just becomes regular. You're talking regularly, but it is talking. It's not encyclopedia pages long text blasting all day, every day. That is not secure behavior, and it is an entirely different red flag. So yes, people who are a little more secure and they have a lot going on in their lives, they might not feel the need to text quite as much as you're used to with more insecure relationships in the past, but you can still feel this pull. There is an excitement about this new connection. It's a little bit of an urgency. And I have had experience dating long distance, but even in the instances where the guys were serious about seeking a real partner, they tried to see me in person within a couple of weeks. There was some sense of urgency. That's another pattern. And you asked me about patterns. And because this is long distance, but even if it wasn't, it's the same. let's talk about communication patterns I have experienced from men in my life who I believe were actually interested in considering a real relationship with me. They always answered me back that day. And I know I am just one person with one life experience, but I've never experienced anything different. If a guy actually liked me, he answered me back that day. He was excited to check his messages and talk to me. And this actually really, I looked back, and even in high school, this was a time where there were no cell phones. There was no emailing or whatever they used to call it, instant messaging or whatever. This was a time where if you wanted to call the person you were dating, you were going to talk to either their answering machine or their mom. Like, "Hi, Mrs. Baker, is Bradley home?" And I'm going to tell you, when a guy likes you, they're going to get your message that you called from their mom, and they're going to still call you back that day. And even if Bradley was busy, he would have called me back as soon as he got a spare moment. And I don't think that takes up to 6 days. In fact, I think it would have been really awkward conversation at the lockers the next day when I would have been like, "Hey, why didn't you call me back last night?" Because that's a pretty normal human response. You see, Aisha, the world and the technology around us may have changed, but I don't believe that human behavior has really changed that much. And people who are interested in you, men and women, they respond to you. Men who don't want to risk losing you are also the same men who don't want to risk you leaving because their lackadaisical actions are causing you to have that misalignment, like, maybe this isn't going to work for me feeling. That's the last thing they want. A guy who's really interested in you, he is excited to get to know more about you. He's going to ask you a lot of questions about yourself, and it sounds like this guy is doing some of that, and that's good. But the response time is really something to be desired. And I'm going to throw something out there, and this is just a theory. I don't know this guy. I am not saying this to try to be mean, but it kind of sounds like gut reaction. This guy is answering you back like, he's got his busy life and he's got his busy priorities. And maybe because he doesn't know you so well, you're just not one of those priorities yet. And so he's sort of going about his life. And then when he gets a moment, like a slow moment at lunch, at work, or God forbid he's married and he's having a slow night because his wife is out with the girls, that's when he actually feels that gap. And he's like, "Oh, I'm kind of having a bored day, or I have an hour to kill. Well, hey, let me text Aisha." And then you guys have a really nice banter, and he kind of goes back to his life for the rest of the week. Well, to me, that sounds like a guy who does enjoy having really nice banter with you, because I've seen your picture. I mean, you are a beautiful woman. But Aisha, welcome to the other half, where we know attraction is not just about looks. We also need to take care of the inner half. Because someone can think that you are beautiful and enjoy talking to you, but it is so important to listen to what your gut is trying to say to you and answer this question honestly, regardless of how pretty he thinks you are. How does he make you feel? That's another very important thing to consider. How does he make you feel? Does he make you feel like when he's ready to talk to you again, he'll get around to it? And I think maybe your misalignment is happening because that is what you are feeling. This sense that even though he might be a perfectly fine guy, his actions towards you are still giving off an energy of like, "Hey babe, I'll get back to you when I get back to you." Does that feel a little too familiar when it comes to looking back at your past experiences? I'll tell you about a solid pattern that's gonna make things really clear for you. Any guy in my life who actually liked me in any kind of a genuine or a healthy way never made me feel like I had to write to a third party and ask if they liked me. And if you have experienced a lot of confusion with dating in the past, I feel like dating apps and long distance, it's going to be a really tough road for people who have previously struggled with abandonment. And if you are serious about a relationship, you could just always ask this guy to meet. If he wants a relationship just like you do, this shouldn't strike him as a question that throws him off kilter, or it's weird or inconvenient and he stumbles to find an answer. See how he responds. See if he is motivated to take the time or spend the money to come see you. I would not recommend that you volunteer to go see him, and if he won't come to you, there's your answer right there. Even dating guys locally who can't get off their butt to drive to your house is a huge red flag. Aisha, you do not want to end up with a man in your life who is unmotivated, indifferent, or lazy. These people, men and women who are lazy, will eventually become a liability, and all they will do is make your life harder. Now, I don't recommend letting him go to your house on the first meet when he comes to see you for general safety reasons. And I wouldn't sleep with him either. God forbid, we don't know this guy, right? God forbid he's using you to pass the time. He'll blow into your town, he'll have a really fun night with you, it's gonna give him that dopamine kick that maybe he's missing in his life, and then he can get back to whatever it is he was doing that was making him so busy that he just didn't have the time to contact you for days at a time. And the reason why this would be so devastating is because at the end of it all, let's say it didn't work out, and I know this is gonna sound cynical, but I am not a man hater by any stretch of the imagination. But if it doesn't work out, he's going to have gotten every single thing that he wants. And when you finally start saying the things that you want to say out loud to the man that now you've been giving your time, your energy, and your body to, well, he doesn't live near you. He can go no contact or block you on a dating app. He can avoid all accountability. He doesn't have to deal with it. People say avoidant attachers are all over dating apps. Well, because there is virtually zero accountability. This guy could string you along or ditch you as soon as a woman in his hometown shows any interest. I've had experience with that. And these guys, they don't have to worry what people will think of them at a local social event because they don't really know you guys. And he doesn't have to worry about bumping into you at the local Walmart. It's not local. It's long distance. Distance. Think about that word. And then ask yourself, is this really what you want? Now, I am sure that you have gone through a healing process. I can definitely tell in talking to you, and I think it's so smart that you are reaching out for advice. But sometimes, isn't it weird how we say there are certain things we don't want? I don't want a relationship where someone needs space. I don't want a relationship that has distance. And then somehow we always end up over and over again walking right into it. It is weird. Just like I had that weird feeling. I had a weird feeling I can't even explain how I knew it was long distance before you even told me. I remembered it was one of the first things that I asked you. And do you, Aisha, feel like you are still stumbling into relationships where you don't feel like you have full access to the other person? Because here's the thing about healthy relationships with people who they genuinely want to be a part of your life. Even if they are busy, you still feel that they are available. When I first started dating my partner, he was a wreck at work. I mean, he's always been, management or in charge of things. And even when we were dating and it was both clear that we were interested in each other, even if he was having a week at work where there's fires he had to put out everywhere, I could still feel that he was available to me. But I'm kind of like you. I don't need to text with a boyfriend every single day. But a lot of times that happens because I can feel a security in my gut that even when I'm not talking to them, I am an important person in their life. And just because we're not talking every day doesn't mean I'm not significant to them. And this is family and friends and relationships. I can tell that they care about me. But you're right. They do care consistently. It wasn't something that felt bad. And now you've already said that this doesn't make you feel good. Now look, you don't have to be a jerk to this guy. You know, it doesn't sound like he's ever done anything disrespectful, unless he's already asked you for nudie photos, which would be disrespectful and rude. But other than that, you know, you don't really owe him anything. He might be a great guy, but he also might not be for you. And that's okay. We all have different needs. If this isn't making you feel good, you don't have to accept it if you don't really want it. And I know I've had some experience with long distance online dating, but to be ruthlessly honest, it's because I had finally hit a point where I didn't think I would ever get what I actually wanted. So I became willing to settle for seeing someone inconsistently, because having someone there on their phone felt better than navigating my life alone. And when all was said and done, it turned out that being able to be alone and still be okay, that was the broken foundation that needed to be fixed before I could ever successfully build a life that involved more stability. But you know, I stopped the dating apps, and it is because everything started to feel very detached. You know, when you want to be with someone, a lot of times that involves them actually physically being around you. You know, even if you're just bored and you're both on the couch noodling on your phones, they are with you. And isn't that the reason you're dating in the first place? You want someone to be with you? That is the whole reason. And you don't have to settle for half of a relationship. Aisha, you are a beautiful woman, and anyone who knows anything about women will tell you, you have options. Never buy into this toxic message that women lose their value over time. You can take your time. Keep learning, keep yourself glowy and healthy, keep seeking advice from people that you trust. If you have a follow-up question, like I said, you remember, go ahead and Gmail me. And if any of you viewing the video right now also have a question that you'd like me to answer on the channel, I'll go ahead and put my Gmail in the description below, or leave me a comment. And don't worry, even if you're not a member, I will go ahead and make sure that you get a free copy of your video, because I appreciate you letting me use it for the channel. So Aisha, you have time. You don't have to settle for distance. You don't have to settle for misalignment. And you don't have to decide on this one guy right this moment. And if you enjoyed watching this video and you would like another video on the advice I gave a guy who was letting a wicked woman jerk him around, I'll put that video right here. My name is Maria Adriana. You did not have to live my life, but I certainly hope you can learn something from it. It was so nice to meet you, Aisha, and thank you all of you out there for visiting the other half.